Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Outside the Cockpit Saudi Arabian GP qualifying watch-along. My name is Sam Dunzig. I'll be your host today. I'm usually host as it is. Welcome along. Thank you guys for joining us again today for another qualifying watch-along. Today, it's on Saudi Arabia's Q1 is underway as we begin, as multiple cars are out on track. There's been a couple laps that have been set, but as it pertains right now from FP3, it seems like Ferrari and Red Bull are the fastest cars right now on the track so far, especially, of course, the number 16, Charles Leclerc, is right now the fastest man around the Jeddah Corniche circuit, as we know. But as of right now, let's just pull up the live timings here, as you can see. So, obviously, Kevin Magnussen, Lando Norris, Daniel Ricciardo, along with George Russell and Guan Yu Zhou have all set times, as well as Lance Stroll, Alexander Albon, Nico Hülkenberg, Nicholas Latifi, Lewis Hamilton, and Mick Schumacher. But again, as we saw in FP3, all Mercedes-powered cars were struggling. They were in the bottom 10 for in terms of pace. It was really just the Red Bulls, the AlphaTauris. It was a lot of Ferrari and Honda-powered cars that were finishing up in the top 10 from FP3. So I think we're going to continue to see this trend for the first couple races. I mean, obviously, last weekend, Mercedes were right up there in the hunt. They finished third and fourth. But again, that was only due to the fault, I think, realistically, because of the Red Bull double DNF. Again, we're not hopefully going to see that this weekend. Hopefully, Red Bull got their act together. They learned from their mistakes and they figured out what was the issue. But as it stands right now, Max Verstappen is on track, setting, it looks like, his first time lap of Q1. So we'll have to see what that is, because he's kind of a benchmark along with Charles Leclerc on where really the pace is and what really will be the fastest lap time this weekend around the Jeddah Corniche circuit, as Carlos Sainz makes his way past Max Verstappen. Max Verstappen going very slow, so it seems to be hopefully not an issue, and maybe he's just going out for an outlap. No time yet for Verstappen. Prez is on an outlap right now, as Carlos Sainz is going on his timed lap along with Charles Leclerc. So we're going to get an early indication on how these Ferraris are doing now that we're in qualifying around the Jeddah Corniche circuit. Purple in the first sector, 1/10 faster than Magnussen is right now, almost 2/10 faster. Leclerc 3/10 faster than Magnussen's time. Purple in the first sector as well. So then Sainz goes to green for the first sector. So Leclerc is flying right now, as we all know, because that Ferrari power engine is super fast this year. Ferrari have absolutely nailed the new regulations. And, obviously, which is beneficial to both Haas and also Alfa Romeo, who are both powered by Ferrari. Carlos Sainz goes purple in the second sector, obviously ahead of Magnussen, and Leclerc 7/10 faster than Magnussen's time. So obviously, again, that's not a true indication of what the lap time is, because we always see this every time in Q1, Q2, and Q3. Not really in Q3, but mostly in Q1, as we have a yellow flag sector 2. So I don't know if and now the session is being red flag, so it seems like they are unable to finish the time. Obviously, Sainz has to slow down and only goes minute 30 fastest, yellow in the third sector, but Q1 is coming to a stop as only about 4 or 5 minutes in, and that is one of the Williams car, Nicholas Latifi, hard into the barrier, bringing out the first red flags of today's qualifying session. So, I mean, they did make the corners a bit wider, but still, you've got to have control. It's still a super fast circuit, and you've got to have control ultimately from start to finish of that lap for you to, stay in control, really, for you not to crash the car or wreck the car in any way. And that is going to be sad news for Williams, obviously, because they weren't looking strong, but, crashing out in qualifying then, leads to mechanics working late, which is never good, of course. And he spins out as it is and then into the barrier, as we know. So that's just kind of how it is right now. Spinning out and then, hits the double. Yeah, so hits the one barrier, which leads to the front end, and then the back end of the side of the car hits as well. So hate to see it. Of course, that's unfortunate for them to want to have to sit through that. So that's hate to see it. So again, red flag will be brought out. And then obviously once the cars are cleaned up, they can resume Q1 and they can go back on the track. So alrighty. Well, I guess this we'll just have to wait and see as the first red flag is out. And I think, honestly, looking ahead at this new, change circuit with the wider last turn and the big banking as Nicholas Latifi lost there on the big wide banking turn. It's good to see, obviously, because a lot of drivers crashed out and it was very narrow, very blind corners, very high speed corners. So this gives them a little bit more visibility, which is always good for the drivers, which is always what they want. They want to have the maximum amount of ability to see, the maximum amount of visibility. But as it stands right now, it seems like Ferrari really are going to be the fastest cars of this weekend, with Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz setting purple in the first two sectors for both of them. Obviously, Leclerc a little bit behind, so he was then setting purple sectors ahead of Magnussen times, because obviously Carlos Sainz had not yet set a time. So, and Carlos Sainz comes into the garage. As it stands right now, so we'll just have to wait and see. Of course, that's we'll have to wait and see what's going on there. I need some water. I'm gonna die. Sweating in your holy spot. So obviously now all drivers are just remaining in the paddock as it stands right now, with the red flags out as it stands. So clearly the session will come to a stop. So Russell 5th fastest, Hamilton 11th fastest, and a very slow Sector 1, Sector 2, and Sector 3 for the 7-time champion. He was overall almost 2 seconds slower than his teammate as it stands right now. So that will be interesting to see what happens there if they're able to make it into Q2, which I think they should be able to. As the medical car looks to make its way into the pits. Red flag should be ending soon then, if that is the case. Valtteri Bottas, along with multiple drivers, Verstappen, Perez, Gasly, Tsunoda, Bottas, Ocon, and Alonso have all not yet set times as it stands right now. So that will be interesting to see how that turns out. If they're able to eventually set a time, which they should have to, because again, the clock is stopped at 11 minutes and 22 seconds. So at a certain point, they'll have to probably reset the clock and reset the amount of time so that they're able to finish at least. Most likely it will just go over then, because they're fine with going over the time. They're not trying to push for 2 p.m. as the hard deadline that Q3 has to finish at. But as it stands right now, it seems like they're just trying to push as much as they can to try to get it going. But as it stands right now, the cars are all in the garage, with the two Haas's setting the fastest lap so far, because, of course, the Ferraris weren't able to set a lap time because they were brought out right when the red flags, or they were right on their time lapse right when the red flags were going out. So, which was unfortunate for them because they were on screaming laps, if I say so myself. But as it stands right now, all drivers are stationary. Now the red flag symbol has gone away, so it seems like now drivers are going to be able to make their way out on track. Just a replay of Magnussen losing a little bit in the corner there. Yeah, again, very few mistakes can be made on this circuit, or else you're into the wall and it's game over. It's a day over for you as well. So you don't want to be that person where you're putting your team, putting your car into the wall. So as it stands, yep, drivers are now making their way back out onto the the track with, looks like Valtteri Bottas leading the way. Session will resume at 2014. So that is 1:14, which is in now pretty much, which is pretty much right now. So that is the time, as you can see, just showing all the fans taking pictures. Obviously, now cars are now making their way out of the garage into the pit lane, onto the pit lane, and ready to go out on track to set some lap times. So I'm going to be interested to see how Verstappen and Perez are able to challenge the Ferraris, because I think those are really going to be the biggest challengers for the weekend for Ferrari. Is going to be Sainz and for Sainz and Leclerc, it's going to be Verstappen and Perez most likely. I also saw realistically in FP3, Valtteri Bottas did really well. Pierre Gasly was up there in the top 10. Esteban Ocon, Fernando Alonso. So realistically, all those drivers, should be up there in terms of finishing in the top 10. But it'll be interesting to see how the Mercedes does, though, where they finish, because obviously they're qualifying on the medium tires, which I find is an interesting strategy. So if they switch to soft tires, if they're going to have any more better success qualifying higher. I mean, obviously they should qualify higher, but as it stands right now, and they are going on the soft tires now. So now we get a true test of the Mercedes pace around the Jeddah Corniche circuit here in Saudi Arabia for the Saudi Arabian GP, which is happening tomorrow, 1 p.m. Eastern. Don't want to miss it. It should be a great race. So as now drivers are making their way out on the track, multiple drivers looking to get past, obviously, because again, you want to have a clean racing line. You want to be able to whip around the track from left, right, and center and not have to worry about a driver in front of you. 10 minutes to go in Q1, ladies and gentlemen. Magnussen and Mick Schumacher set the fastest lap so far as it stands right now, but Verstappen is setting to look for a timed lap. Both Verstappen and Perez on their out laps, looking to get a timed lap in to see where their pace is for the weekend, which will be interesting to see, as well as Sainz and Leclerc, who are both on their out lap. So as it stands, no timed laps right now, but it seems now Verstappen is going to cross the line with DRS open for his first time lap. Here we go. As we ride alongside with Verstappen. Going around the first two corners. Okay, not bad. Oh, lost a little bit of time there, close to the wall. He's going to lose a little bit of time there, I think, in that first sector, but I think it should be okay. Rounds, turns 3 and 4, looking really strong through the first sector, whipping that Red Bull right around the circuit, hanging onto it, and he's going to cross the line in a couple seconds once the sector time goes through at, when is he going to finish? And he's 0.3 clear of Magnussen's time, about 32 seconds in that first sector, roughly. Now working his way through the second sector, purple in the first sector as it stands right now. As you can see the live speed on board, or you can't see it, but I can see it. But you can see, obviously, the timing screen as we have it on our screen here, making his way through the second sector. Where is he going to finish in the sector? Looking really strong so far from the Red Bull from Max Verstappen, and he goes 0.7 of clear in Magnussen's time through the first two sectors. Now, interesting enough, actually, Leclerc was on a very similar time level in that aspect as Verstappen does go quick with a 1:29.330. The stream's a little bit behind from the F1 website, so you guys know I'm looking at this screen over here, but as it stands, Bottas goes fastest and then 1:30.131, but as you can see, Verstappen with a 1:29.3 there, looking very fast. Sergio Perez as well, looking very fast as well. 0.7 behind his teammate, so a bit of a gap there between the two Red Bull drivers, but here comes the Ferrari, and he's now 0.3 clear of Verstappen's time, and Sainz goes green in the second sector, 0.4 clear of Verstappen's time, so it looks like it's going to be a 1-2 Ferrari, as we can see here so far. Looks like as they cross the line very soon, Gasly only goes 9th fastest, Perez goes, second fastest. Now it's being updated here. And as you can see, Carlos Sainz with a 1:28.855. And Charles Leclerc very close. Goes second fastest. So 1:29.039 and then 1:28. So 1/10 clear there. A very good lap from Carlos Sainz in the Ferrari. So Ferrari fans and Ferrari themselves should be happy and satisfied. Whereas Hamilton only 12th fastest with a 1:35.35, but Russell goes 4th fastest with a 1:29.680. So Russell looking very strong in the Mercedes, but Hamilton's struggling immensely down in 13th. And as that continues to go down potentially, we'll have to see where that is as we see a replay of Max Verstappen, currently third fastest. I think he lost a little bit of time in that first corner where he was going the second turn there. He lost it a little bit on the exit of the apex, which did cost him a few milliseconds. Again, every millisecond counts in Formula One right there again. Oh, they're seeing if it was track limits or not. Will the lap time be deleted or not? That is the question, really. Yuki Tsunoda with no time set. They're currently still working on the cars. We'll have to see what happens there, if anything. If Yuki Tsunoda is able to set a lap time as it stands right now. But again, Gasly 15th, Ricciardo 16th. Norris is looking pretty strong. Where's Norris? 14th. Yeah, okay. So he's just making the cut as it looks like Norris is on his way out on track for a timed lap. Here we are riding alongside Lando Norris with the Google Chrome wheel covers. That should be interesting to look at, to see as he makes his way through the first sector. Oh, very close. And yep, straight through. And he's going to go 4/10 slower than Sainz's time. So a 32.7 there in the first sector. Obviously, Schumacher and Bottas going through. Yeah, again, I don't think anyone's really going to beat that Ferrari. It's going to be most likely either Charles Leclerc or Carlos Sainz on pole position for Ferrari today, because that's just the way it's going to be. It seems like they've just got the pace so far this weekend. They've continued to show it last weekend as well and all throughout this weekend. Plus, so both Ferraris now going into pit. Lando Norris green in the first two sectors, but still slower than Sainz's time so far. Again, Schumacher 9 seconds off. That doesn't seem right. That seems way off, unless he must have spun or something. And as Norris crosses the line, where is he going to finish in the points, or where in the finish? He's going to finish 5th fastest. So a pretty solid lap for Lando Norris. Obviously, the McLaren car is not where it wants to be. Obviously, he wants to be competing right at the front of the grid, and they're not doing that yet so far. But I think 5th place is a very solid position to be and very happy if you are Lando Norris, considering where they finished last weekend. Zhao Guanyu obviously out on track as well. He's going to go 8th fastest in the AlphaTauri. Ocon crosses the line very soon, as long as Ricciardo as well. Ocon, where is he going to finish the cross? He's going to go 11th fastest for Ocon. Ricciardo is going to cross the line 11th fastest. So yeah, then it pushes. So Hamilton right now, Hamilton is at risk for missing Q2. So I don't think it's going to be the case. I think, very close to the wall. Gasly pushing the limit here. Pushing the limit very close to the wall. They've made it a little bit extra wider. He goes 5th fastest, which pushes Norris down to 7th. So again, like I said, that AlphaTauri, in that Honda-powered engine is looking really strong. Hamilton goes for his next flying lap, where he's going to finish still 16th, yellow in the 3rd sector. And he's just struggling today, honestly. He is massively struggling so far. And he is in the elimination zone by 10 thousandths of a second as it stands right there. Schumacher, who's 15th right now, could set a better lap time than Hamilton to further endeavor him into missing Q1. Again, it's a Ferrari-powered car. Magnussen 9th fastest, so Haas has got the pace. Magnussen is doing well. The question is, can Schumacher repeat it as well? When he's gonna cross the line 11th fastest, which again just pushes everyone down. So Hamilton, as it stands, will miss Q2. Will not make it into Q2, but again, still 2 minutes and just over 2 minutes. He can't seem to approve, man, as it is from the Hamilton radio. So I don't know if he's going to go for another time lap. It seems like he just cannot find time in that 3rd sector with the car. Russell was able to find 4th. So I don't know what the difference between Russell and Hamilton in their cars, or what the difference is, but it seems like Hamilton is massively struggling today to find the pace compared to his teammate George Russell, who is currently P4 as it stands, ahead of the Red Bull in Prix, who is currently P5. Verstappen obviously 2nd fastest now at a much better lap, only 73 thousandths of a second there. And it seems like Hamilton is going to still continue to time lap himself to set lap times and trying to improve. 2 minutes to go again, trying to get into Q2. There you can see, obviously, Nick DeVries talking with Toto Wolff. As it stands, only one Mercedes car into Q2 would not be ideal for the Mercedes team, the 8-time world champions. And it seems like, yeah, right now. So I don't know if it's going to be Russell's going to help Hamilton in any way to see if he can give him a tow or what the plan is. But it seems like the two Mercedes out on track right now. It seems now, right now, of course, they're doing between Verstappen and Hamilton, of course, right now. So, and it looks like Hamilton is out for a timed lap. This is going to be his last timed lap. So the question is, can he make it into Q2? That is the question. George Russell's pretty much secured. He's P4. He's 8/10 off the gap. Bottas goes 5th fastest with a 129.683. As we see here, so a great time from the Finn, looking very fast in the Alfa Romeo, my bad. 47 seconds and counting for the end of Q1. Okay, green in the first sector. So that's solid, looking pretty good. Better on Stroll's time. So it looks like he might just sneak into Q2 if he's lucky. It would be weird seeing a Mercedes car not in Q2, or at least only seeing one Mercedes car in Q2, especially Lewis Hamilton, the 7-time world champion, who's known to be obviously an amazing race driver and have the ability to, be there. Oh, the car is bouncing massively. The proposing there is massively being shown, very evident. Yellow in the second sector, so not a great second sector for Hamilton. It's a question of, car going slow there. Oh, that's very not good for Hamilton right there, obviously going slow. And as he crosses the line, where is he going to finish in terms of Stroll's time? And it's going to be 15th fastest, a 1:33.43. So as it's still yet, again, Stroll could push him out. He goes 15th fastest. Hamilton drops down to 16. Hamilton is out of Q1. He's out in Q1 as it stands right now. He is unable to make it into Q2. Checkered flag. Lewis Hamilton is out in Q1, ladies and gentlemen. That's actually absolutely crazy. As we can see, out in Q1 is, of course, Hamilton, Albon, Hülkenberg, Latifi, and Tsunoda. Some fans laughing because I guess they can't believe it. They just cannot believe the fact that Lewis Hamilton, the 7-time champion, 87 thousandths of a millisecond there, unable to get into Q2 as it stands. So obviously, Hamilton, Albon. We'll have to see who's out in Q1, but as it stands right now, Hamilton is unable to make it into Q1. Yes, as we can see, obviously, Lewis Hamilton, Alexander Albon, Nico Hülkenberg, Nicholas Latifi, and Yuki Tsunoda. That is just crazy. Absolute crazy. Half a second off his teammate's time. That's mad. George Russell, Mr. Saturday, everyone. He is killing it. P4 in the Mercedes, but somehow Lewis Hamilton unable to make it into Q2. It's just weird to see. It's just unfortunate. Like it sucks for Mercedes because realistically, they're now only having one car at the front of the grid to challenge both the Ferrari and the Red Bull 4 points. Because obviously right now, Mercedes sitting in second place in the Constructors after a pretty solid weekend, after, struggling. But as it stands right now, obviously, Lewis Hamilton will not make it into Q2 and will have to settle with 16th on the grid. Again, I know he's great at coming back, but clearly, if qualifying is the measure of anything to show the true pace of a car and how quickly it can actually go, it's really here in qualifying. And again, as it stands right now, they are seen. So out in Q1, obviously, as we see, we have Hamilton, Albon, Hülkenberg, Latifi, and Tsunoda, Yuki Tsunoda, as we can see here. Oh, I misspelled Hülkenberg's name. That's embarrassing. Hamilton, Albon, Hulkenberg, Latifi, and Tsunoda out in Q1. So that's a devastating, not very good for Mercedes and the team. Knocked out by a very small margin, but almost over half a second. It was his gap to his teammate, George Russell. It was like, I believe it was 0.663 was the time. So absolute mad. Yes, indeed. Hamilton will start 16th tomorrow. Absolutely crazy. I can't believe it's actually happening. Every F1's fans dream not to see Lewis Hamilton again on the podium. Again, you want to see him win to a certain degree, but clearly it seems like as it stands right now, Lewis Hamilton it will start P16 on the grid with Lance Stroll in front of him. So Lando Norris, though, P9, along with Daniel Ricciardo. So the McLarens make it into Q2, which is good to see after their unfortunate bad weekend last weekend in Bahrain. Yes, indeed. Yeah, honestly, no one really expected it, honestly. I mean, like, we all knew that Mercedes wasn't the fastest car, but they were able to make it into Q3 in Bahrain. So I wasn't really expecting, especially considering Russell made it into he made it to Q2. He finished fourth fastest again in the same car, quote unquote. And again, it's the question of, if you're your teammate, can you beat your teammate? That's the question. Again, a lot of people were expecting Lewis Hamilton to just come out and dominate this rivalry with George Russell, but it clearly shows that George Russell, Mr. Saturday, qualifying, showing up big for Mercedes, because they would be unfortunate. Obviously, it's good that they still at least have one car, but I think this is a problem that Red Bull was having for many, many seasons, or at least for 2 seasons, when both Pierre Gasly and Alex Albon were in the car. And Max Verstappen was qualifying, into Q3 on the front of the grid, and Red Bull was qualifying 10th, 11th, 12th, 15th, around those times. There was a couple times even last year where Sergio Perez was doing that. So I think Mercedes is getting an understanding of how Red Bull felt in these certain situations where they weren't really having both teammates having a competitive, both the teammates doing their best and pushing to the absolute limit to get into Q2 and into Q3 as well. So the question is now, will George Russell get it into Q3? Because obviously right now he's sitting P5 or P4, sorry, a very competitive time, a great time as well on the soft tire. So I don't think that's really going to be an issue. Yeah, I mean, that's, to be fair, I don't think that's really the case though, because in that way, are you really going to change the car to fit better for Russell, even though you have a 7-time world champion who's well equipped to drive the car? I don't agree with you there. I don't agree with you. I don't think they're doing the case. I mean, maybe that could be the case. Maybe just Hamilton is struggling, but I just don't see the case where they would do that, because it's weird because no one really understood why Red Bull did it, because everyone was like, don't you want to have a competitive car? Don't you ever want a competitive car? And I think both cars are competitive, but I think the fact that George Russell is there to do his job and to qualify on the top of the grid, and he's willing to do that. Hamilton clearly was I think he mostly lost time in the third sector, and then on the other lap time was the second sector as well. So again, clearly the second or third sector struggling for the Mercedes cars. But again, all the Mercedes powered cars are near the bottom with the Ferrari powered cars near the top. So I somewhat agree with you. I can understand why you might be coming for that point where they might be pulling a Red Bull, making the car fit better, a little bit nicer for Russell. But I just don't see that being the case, considering they have a 7-time world champion. I can see it being the other way, where if Hamilton was, finishing 5th and Russell was struggling, and they're fitting the car for Russell, which they're fitting it for Hamilton, that makes sense because, again, it's their number one driver. They did it with Verstappen versus Albon and Gasly because that was really a difference in terms of, okay, Verstappen was their clear number one driver. Like, Christian Horner loves, Max Verstappen as well, and so does Helmut Marko. So it's obvious that in that situation, that is the clear case. But again, for Mercedes, I feel that I don't really see that being the case. Again, I somewhat agree with your thoughts. It's a good thing to point out as well, but I just don't see them. What's the advantage of doing that? Fitting the car for Russell. Yes, Russell's going to be there longer, but it's just one season. Hamilton might retire at the end of the season, depending on how it goes. So again, the question is, realistically, Are they doing that to kind of push in the fact that, Russell's kind of the future of Mercedes, which he is, most likely. He is the future for Mercedes. It's quite obvious. Obviously, Hamilton been here for so long, but, on his way out in the next few seasons. So, but I don't see it being the case where they would fit the car better for Russell for one season or for the case be now be. Now, interesting enough, I think one thing that they did point out as well was the fact that, interesting enough, I think Lewis Hamilton did go for a reseat feeding. So he readjusted his seat to sit a little bit higher to have the visibility. Now, again, that could be where the difference is. Now, again, they're both really, George Russell's ultimately, he's naturally tall. Lewis Hamilton, a bit of a smaller guy compared to George Russell. So again, it depends on how the seat is. But if Hamilton is sitting a little bit higher than George Russell in the car, that could be a difference as well to see if that is the case. Like that may be the case where he's a little bit higher on the track as now Q2 is underway. Track cars are on the track as they're making their way out to start. Both Haas's at the beginning. But yeah, I just don't see that being the case. As much as I can agree with you, Ted, it just seems like, I don't know. It's a bit of a toss and turn there whether they're actually doing that, if they're fitting the car a bit nicer for Russell. Because it just doesn't make sense to me why they would do that, considering you have Lewis Hamilton in there as your 7-time world champion. He's a driven race winner, multi-world champion, and they're like, yeah, we're going to fit it better for Russell. So it just doesn't seem plausible in that case. But again, Russell's going out. He's proving the pace that he has, which you love to see because, again, he's in a new team. He's trying to prove his worth. He's trying to prove his worth to Mercedes that they made the right decision in calling him up from Williams to ultimately lead the team in the next chapter. I can see with that. I mean, like, that may be the case as well. Given his reputation, obviously, yeah. Again, he's gonna drive any car they design. He's not gonna be too picky with it. I think Russell coming in, they want a certain car for him, and they want him to be comfortable. They want him to be successful because they're their new young driver. So in terms of that comment, they might design it in favor of Russell the way that he likes the car. Again, because we saw where Ricardo, it takes some time. Like last year with McLaren, Lando Norris had experience with that car. Ricardo was getting used to that car. So in that aspect, then I think realistically, it took some time for Ricardo to get used to the car because they were clearly tuning it to a certain degree to Lando. And Ricardo is very particular in the way that he drives the car and the way that the car is set up. So I think maybe Hamilton's the same way, and that he's very particular in the way that he has to have a car set up, and maybe that the new Mercedes isn't set up the way that he wants it to be set up, and he's clearly struggling. As Leclerc goes purple in the first two sectors, and purple in the third sector. So with a 128.883, Charles Leclerc goes quickest. So as you can see, Ferrari fans are overjoyed, absolutely overjoyed in the fact that obviously their number one driver in Charles Leclerc. Lando Norris, second fastest with a 129.825, but again, that's over close to 9 tenths slower than. Okay, so Russell goes on the medium tires, 129.618. So that's only 7 tenths clear, and that's on the medium compound. So I really think that Mercedes might have a car to challenge, as much as we didn't really see it in FP3. It seems like George Russell is absolutely sending it today and putting his car all out and pushing the absolute limit, as we can see here. So on the medium tires, 7 tenths clear, 7 tenths slower than Leclerc's time. But again, that is on the medium tires. So Mercedes could be going to an alternate strategy where, even though the Q2 rule doesn't exist, as Perez goes second fastest with a 128.924, 41 thousandths of seconds difference between Leclerc and Perez's time. So clearly Perez and the Red Bull are looking super fast, as well as the Ferrari. So that's going to be super interesting to see what happens there in the battle for pole position. 10 minutes to go in Q2 as it stands right now. Carlos Sainz green in the first sector compared to Alonso's time. So clearly not the best as it stands for Sainz on the best flying lap on a soft tire. Car going a little bit slow is going to have to go around that there. Interesting to see what happens, what will happen, really. So interesting enough. Green in the second sector 186. And as well, yeah, you guys already had me over here. You guys got the full on screen. So you can see here, obviously, Carlos Sainz going third fastest. Very close at the line. It annoys me that this stream is slower than that because it just, I'm trying to keep you guys updated, but it's like you guys already know what's happening by the time that I say it. So it's like, I really don't need to say anything. Third fastest for Carlos Sainz. So not far off on the soft tire. A little bit slower than his teammate. Perez put in a flying lap, 41 milliseconds, 41 thousandths of a second, sorry. Hitting the hard curb there was Verstappen. Green in the first sector, purple in the second sector. He is absolute flying, as we know he can in that flying Red Bull. Turn 26, here it comes across the last few corners. Oh, the stream is lagging a bit. No, don't lag, please. Why is he going slow? It seems like he's slowing down a bit. No, he's going to cross the line, and he crossed the line. Where's he going to cross the line? Third fastest. So only third fastest, and so ahead of the Ferrari of Carlos Sainz, but just behind his teammate in Sergio Perez. So Sergio Perez doing very strong. I mean, like, it makes sense. You know, he's a great driver. That's why Red Bull brought him on, because not only he's a great veteran driver, that's good for Verstappen to honestly learn. Even though Verstappen's been in F1 for 7 seasons, he's still a very much young driver, still lots to learn. But also, it's a great, solid teammate to have if Verstappen is struggling, and he smoked that curb. I mean, like, he smoked that curb so hard. So clearly he lost a little bit of time there and wasn't able to get the fastest time around as Esteban Ocon. A quick replay of Esteban Ocon flying around the track. And again, there's, again, the slow McLaren going a little bit slow, and multiple expletives being shown. So hate to see it, really. That's unfortunate. Again, that's one of the things about the Corniche circuit is getting a lot of blind corners. That's really on, on the team principal and on the engineering to be communicating with the drivers to let them know when, that driver. And again, we saw it last year with Lewis Hamilton, and I believe is one of the Haas's. It was Nikita Mazepin, and there was a potential penalty which Hamilton did not end up getting a penalty. But now again, turn 7 investigating between Ocon and Ricciardo will be investigated. So for impeding. So as it stands, 6 minutes and counting left in Q2. Leclerc obviously with the fastest lap so far, along with Perez, Verstappen, Sainz, Alonso, Bottas in P6, Russell P7 on the mediums, Norris, Schumacher, Gasly. In terms of making the top 10 as it stands right now, it'll be interesting to see what happens, to say the least. Alrighty. That will be super interesting to see where Russell... The question is now is Russell going to stick with the mediums and just make his way into, Q2? Can he make it into there? Or will he go to the soft tires? Because again, there is no Q2 rule. You can start in any compound. You can start on softs. You can start on medium. So you're more than welcome and able to start on a soft tire. As we see a replay of Pierre Gasly's, looks like the floor that he hit. Again, for, F1 cars, very delicate cars. Yeah, hitting the floor there. Scraping the bottom of the floor as he made his way around the circuit. Showing multiple replays. Looks like they've got some red, black duct tape there. So as we see, 5 minutes left in Q2. Right now, Leclerc is on an outlap. Perez and Verstappen both in the garage, along with Sainz on an outlap as well. So both Ferraris going out to see if they can improve on their time. Both running soft tires as well. Will be interesting to see what happens. Oh, a massive crash. Ooh, that's going to bring out the red flags. 5 minutes to go. Oh, my God. Wow. Hopefully he is okay. That was a massive shunt there. Yeah, hopefully Mick is all right. That was a massive shunt. Ooh, my God. That was absolute. Oh my God. That again, that's what shows how quick the circuit is. Wow, that Haas car is destroyed. The mechanics are going to be staying up late. So again, for the second straight time, we have a red flag. This one is going to take obviously a lot longer because there's a lot of debris on the track from the one Haas car of Mick Schumacher. And hopefully Mick is all right. And it seems like he was massively impacted from that crash there. Holy, that is a big shunt there from the German driver. Hopefully he's okay and he is well. That's unfortunate for Haas because, he was on a pretty good lap there. So unfortunate to say the least as well. Will be interesting to see what happens over the next few minutes and when the session will resume. But as it stands right now, again, because of the delays, as it stands right now, we probably won't get to Q3 until the after 2 p.m. when we finish up, at least when Q3 will be over. So as it stands right now, the red flags are out. And they will be out for at least probably 5 to 10 minutes, potentially, as they clean up all the debris on the track. Hopefully, Mick is all right and he's able to get out of the car. And then hopefully he's able to race tomorrow. It'll be a long night for the mechanics in Saudi Arabia as they repair that Haas car. I'll be interesting to see as well. I was going to say, yeah, cars should not be going there. They're going to be definitely going into the pit lane as well. For the time being, blankets will go on and the cars will be put onto the jacks to roll the car back into the garage. So the red flags are out for the second straight time today. Again, this circuit is definitely going to be, I would say, even during the race, I think, we're probably going to have multiple safety cars. I have a feeling it's going to be like over under 2 safety cars throughout the whole race. I just have a feeling. Based on the fact that how qualifying is going, I know qualifying they're going all out, and even though there are no other cars around them, again, in a tight circuit like this, we're going to have incidents, we're going to have crashes. So as it stands right now, of course, red flags are out, and 5 minutes to go is stopped. So between Leclerc and Perez right now, Sector 2 and Sector 3 faster for Perez, but Sector 1 is where Leclerc has the fastest time with a 32.452. Right there. So again, overall 41 thousandths of a second slower, very, very close between Leclerc and Perez. And I think that could be a potential battle for pole position. Who knows? Question is, who do you think will be pole position? Comment down below, put a little comment. I'll post it here. And who do you think will take pole position today? Charles Leclerc, Sergio Perez, Max Verstappen. Who will it be? Carlos Sainz. Put your comment down below, and we'll put them up on the screen here, and we can see what everyone's thinking, what everyone's feeling for the stream to see what everyone's feeling, where everyone will finish. Yes, indeed. A massive shunt there for Mick Schumacher. Hopefully he's okay, and he is able to get. And again, this does give some more time, actually, for the AlphaTauri mechanics to repair Pierre Gasly's car. Multiple pieces of duct tape being applied to the car, and it looks like some type of heat gun is being applied as well to melt it in and hopefully not to affect it. As it stands, you can see, yeah, I mean, like Leclerc, okay, yeah, so you're a Verstappen fan, so yeah, Red Bull fan like myself, so I mean, like, yeah, I think Leclerc most likely takes it. The Red Bull car has been really the fastest car. The Ferrari car, my bad. The Ferrari car has been the fastest car of the weekend so far. But, Red Bull's very, very close to, that Ferrari. And I think really 1 or 2 laps difference in terms of when we get into Q3, the last few minutes, it will all depend on, who can really find the cleanest racing line, the best racing line, and the fastest lap time as it stands right now. So me as well, I'm hoping it's Verstappen. Realistically, I think it's probably going to be Leclerc again, or maybe Carlos Sainz steals the show. Who knows? Who knows really what's going to happen? Maybe Perez takes pole. He's been very fast. He's taken pole in other places as well. Been super fast in other tracks, and he's been super fast today as well. Very, very close to Charles Leclerc's time. So yeah, realistically, yeah, Leclerc's most likely going to take it, but I'm hoping it is Verstappen as well. Because again, Verstappen fans, so gotta hope for Verstappen. But again, realistically, I think that Leclerc most likely will take it, or Carlos Sainz. One of the two most likely will take pole position, I think. I just really think that the Ferrari car is an overall better package, really, from front to end. And as you can see, I understand they have to pick up the big pieces, but there's a thing called a broom that they could probably use, and it would be super useful to pick up all the debris. I understand they need to pick up the big pieces, but it's like clearly a broom would be a much better tactic, and a garbage bag or a bin. But as you can see, so they've got a broom. They've got a couple brooms. Okay. I was worried. I was concerned for a second. Yes, indeed. I think, even after, Bahrain for sure. Ferrari's definitely going to be high up in the championship. I think that they're going to continue to be dominant in the championship this season. They seem to have the fastest car so far. Red Bull, I think, is getting there. The question with Red Bull is reliability can continue to be an issue, or are they, going to have the issue fixed, and, can they finish a race in total? Yeah, for sure. Yeah, their cars are easily more powerful than most other cars as well. And I think as well, realistically, I mean, it makes sense. I mean, like the Ferrari-powered engine car, they clearly looked at the regulations, struggled last year. So they didn't struggle, but they weren't fighting for championships. They weren't fighting for championships with Mercedes and Red Bull. They finished third. They had a very strong end to the season. And I think that really propelled them into going into the winter off season, developing that, or continuing to develop the car, finishing developing the car, and ready for the spring of 2022, ready to come out into testing, a super dominant car. And it has been, so far throughout the 2 race weekends that we've had, or 1 race weekend, and so far with qualifying as well. It seems like Ferrari is going to be the car to beat this year, similar to almost how the Red Bull car was the car to beat last year, along with Mercedes. It was kind of tied with those 2 cars, but I think so far, unanimously, you can say that realistically, and overall, not realistically, sorry, Ferrari does have the most powerful car right now. It's obvious as well. So I would agree with that. Yeah, most powerful than other cars right now. They are definitely the most powerful car. I think really any Ferrari-powered car is doing really well this season so far. I'm surprised to see Mercedes do. I mean, like the Mercedes-powered cars in Russell, Norris, and Ricciardo, and Stroll, and obviously both Williams are out of there as well. So in terms of that aspect, I think that they're struggling a little bit more this season compared to the Ferrari and Honda-powered cars that we're seeing at the top of the grid right now, with obviously the 2 Ferraris and Red Bulls taking up the first 4 spots. So I just think throughout the season, I think we could see a Leclerc Verstappen battle. Maybe Perez and Sainz are going to be kind of like I think maybe Sainz is going to play how Bottas was last year, battling with Perez, like kind of like the second team. Who knows? I mean, like really, realistically, Ferrari doesn't have really a number 1 driver. Like it's unanimously everyone thinks it's Leclerc, but Carlos Sainz beat Charles Leclerc last year in points overall. He beat him out overall. So in that aspect, you can't really say who. Do you think that? I mean, it could be. Who knows? I mean, as an engineer, when you're designing a car, I think you have to look at what design works and what design doesn't work. Now, interesting enough, obviously, Gunther Steiner came out and said that originally they did try the no side pod idea with that kind of Mercedes is rocking with this season, is going with throughout this whole season. And they said that it was slower. They lost time in the slow corners, and that they also really overall it wasn't the best package. So clearly they went with the wider side pods, and you can see it's so far working out. Right, Mick Schumacher running 9th fastest, and Magnussen currently 13th fastest. Obviously, as it stands right now, crashing out, so it could change. Most likely he'll be out in Q2. But I think it does have some effect on how the car is performing. I think it's also the Mercedes powertrain as well. I think that's a big part of it as well, because I think the engine plays a certain degree, but I think their no side pods or limited, very skinny side pods is playing somewhat of a role in how they're suffering during the race. I think it has to be as well, because all the cars that are doing pretty well are mostly rocking with wider side pods. Now, of course, Ferrari being the most outrageous one or egregious one, which is with the big dip, and it seems to have been working. But I think that's a mix of great engineering from Ferrari, not only on the engine side, but on the design side as well. So I think when you look at the Mercedes no side pod or very skinny side pod, you have to take that into effect along with the Mercedes powertrain. Because again, that is playing effect in how the raw pace of the car is. Yes, you do have the downforce, but you also have the pure racing speed. And the car is now ripped in half, actually. So it seems like the rear of the axle. I always find it funny just watching these marshals trying to communicate with each other and trying to figure out what to do, because there's always a million people looking everywhere and they're always trying to figure out how to cut the car off the track. And I always find it amusing because they're just yelling at each other. They're just everything's crazy. Everything's wild. But as it stands right now, still red flag as they're trying to get the car off the track. And I think it will be for at least a while, as it's now been probably over 10 minutes now, or just over 10 minutes. They haven't yet released the time when the session will resume, which hopefully will be soon. Yeah, the card now is kind of into two pieces. So it seems like they're going to have to either cut a line somewhere, or they're going to have to just get the car. Yeah, they're going to have to do something here, because that cannot stay the way that it is right now. He's going to back it up. The car is still attached, by the way. Like, there's still, looks like a fuel line or like a truck. Yeah, it's now being just dragged. Yeah, they're going to keep going up. They're just going to lift this car all the way up. So that is a absolute destroyed Haas. So that I don't know. Can you even repair? Can you come back from that? I know it's been crazier times, but for a race weekend, like right now, considering you've got a race tomorrow at 1 p.m., roughly, I don't know what time it is in, again, they're going to be racing, I think in the evening. They'll be racing there in the evening because it'll be a night race. I don't know what the time difference between here and Saudi Arabia is. So I'll have to look it up to see what time. Because, yeah, it's 1 p.m. Eastern time here. So, realistically, it's like, yeah, again, it's 1 p.m. Eastern time. So, 24 hours from now, roughly, you're going to be racing. So, can you repair the car in 24 hours? That's the question, really. I don't know. It just seems weird that, it seems weird. I mean, I don't know. It's a question of whether they can repair that or not, because it seems to be inseparable. It seems to be hard to really replace. And it seems like, I don't know if they can really come back from that this weekend, at least. I mean, like, hey, mechanics can work miracles, and I'm sure they have extra parts, but that car is in half. There's no way you're telling me that they can just, okay, so they did end up cutting the line. They've cleared off all the debris. They're now spraying. It looks like, it looks like some white powder there. Yeah. Hopefully he's good as well, honestly. I think right now, as it stands, we have not heard anything, at least on Mick's update. But yeah, it was a massive crash. This track is super dangerous. And as much as people want to say, yes, it's a great circuit to race on, but also you have to look at crashes like this that happen in qualifying and say, what is the effect? What is the benefit of us racing here versus, racing at a different street circuit where crashes like this don't happen because of the speeds and because of the speeds in which the cars are traveling at. And again, because they did extend, they extended the runoff area, they extended the corners because of numerous drivers were having crashes. Again, still this year, we've had, of course, it's amazing in the game, of course, because the game, you're not really feeling the G-force of when you crash. You crash out, you don't really feel it. Unless you have a full force feedback wheel, you still feel it, but you're not feeling it to the effect of that the drivers are feeling. But yeah, of course, it's an amazing circuit in the race. It's super fun. It's super fast, which a lot of people love because it's one of those high-speed circuits where the average speed is 250 kilometers an hour, which is just behind Monza at 264 kilometers an hour. So I think in that aspect, you're looking at it and saying, yeah, it's a great circuit to race on, but at what cost does it come that we're racing here? And what effect does it have on the teams in terms of when a car crashes out? Yeah, no, it's very similar to Singapore, but just faster. It's a very narrow circuit, but just Singapore is a very somewhat high-speed course as well, similar to Monaco as well. So Monaco is very slow, but in terms of the night street circuit, but it's just much faster because of the corners, how wide the track is, and the speed at which they can design the cars to go around. It's just how they've designed it. So it's like, I feel like it's really like, yeah, it's like any other speed circuit, but just with barriers. That's all it is. It's like any other really regular circuit with a high speed on it, like a Monza or another circuit, but just kind of encroached now with walls that are much closer. That's all it is, really. So it is close like Singapore. I would agree with you as well. It is Singapore, but again, much more lethal, much more deadly in the way that, again, how the high-speed corner is. So that is really the question. Oh, this is going to be a long. I think they've now cleared off the car. The session will resume, I think, probably within the next 5 minutes or next couple minutes as well, which will have 5 minutes of Q2. And then most likely they'll go another couple minutes again. And then finally we'll push on to Q3, which will be another 10 minutes. So the question is realistically, what will happen in these last 5 minutes here? Because obviously a lot of drivers pushing to make it into Q3. Along those, of course, are Ricardo, Magnussen, Stroll, Ocon, trying to push forward as well because their teammates are up there. Like Alonso, Bottas, Russell, Norris, all in the top 10 along with Schumacher. So again, Schumacher crashed out. So again, his time will be affected by that. So he'll probably make it into Q2. He'll finish wherever he finishes, which will probably be at the bottom of the 15. So he'll be starting 15th on, and then from wherever else can start up there. And obviously Nick DeVries looking on. So yeah, it's going to be super interesting what happens this season. I think looking forward to the championship battle between Ferrari, Red Bull, and potentially Mercedes if they can get there. But it seems like Mercedes is really struggling early on, all Mercedes powered cars. So really it's only between the Ferrari powered cars and the Honda powered cars so far this season. I mean, like, again, we've only had one race. Teams will develop. They're going to work on the cars. They're going to work on it. So that is really the question about what will happen throughout the season if teams will improve, which I think they will, obviously, because Mercedes is going to just sit back and, sit there and take 5th place or take 3rd place. But obviously right now, Mattia Binotto talking with Christian Horner about the said race, or I don't know what they're chatting about. They're probably chatting about something. They're laughing it up. They're having a good chat. Two old chaps. Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see when the session will resume, actually. So as it stands right now, red flags are still out, and obviously cars have not been told to resume to track, and there's no message so far on the board. You're probably watching along as well on a different screen. No board alongside them just to see when it will be resumed. As it stands, again, that's the big thing as well. They've got to repair the wall because he did hit the wall pretty aggressively. Not one wall, but 2 walls. So now it seems like they're going to be replacing the barrier here. Yeah, again, the marshals talking to each other on the radio, taking as long as possible. Oh, this is going to be this always takes so long. Yeah, because they're just trying to get that. Yeah, no, there's like 3 people pointing at him, trying to figure out to do one thing. I always love it. It's always good to see. Oh, and here comes the track. Here comes the big truck. Oh my God. Okay, hold on. They're trying to back out here. They've got one truck coming and then another forklift just kind of in the middle of the track right now. So they've got to decide what's going on. I think they need to. I think the truck is here to replace the barrier wall. So that's going to take a couple minutes. So we're probably going to be delayed massively. Yeah, so it seems so far this weekend and throughout the season that really Ferrari have had the pace so far, and I think that might continue on for the rest of the season. But we'll have to see what happens in the next few races. Daniel Ricciardo looking on, currently 12th fastest right now, 84 thousandths of a second clear of Gasly's time right now, who is sitting P10, parked in the garage. So red flag still, and again, no update yet on when the session will be resumed. Right now, obviously, it's suspended. Yeah, but I mean, like you guys have been saying, like it's just a super dangerous track. It's super fast, and I mean, like, what's the cost? I mean, we already know what happened earlier this weekend, and there was a big protest to cancel the race. So, like, at what cost? What is the advantage? And we all know the advantage of why they're racing here. It's money. Money. They got a lot of money for racing in Saudi Arabia. A lot of deals, and it's unfortunate because what's the cost that racing comes at? It's a super fast car. It's a super fast track. It's a super dangerous circuit. There's other issues going on off the track as well that are affecting the drivers as well. Clearly, their safety. So that's really the question: is at what point do you say enough is enough? We cannot race here because again, they race in certain countries again that they shouldn't really race in, but they do because of the money. So I think that in that aspect, I mean, like, yeah, again, what's the line? Like, what's the line? And I don't think, as much as I love this circuit, it's a super great circuit. And, it's super good to have it second on the second, like, as the second race of the year. Obviously, in a couple of weeks, we're going to Australia with the new changes there. Again, another super fast circuit. But again, at what point do we say is enough? And what point do we say, this is too much? We cannot race here. It's too dangerous. We've had too many crashes. And I think after this year, depending on how the race goes, they might say, listen, I know it's on the circuit for many years, but it's like, do we have to consider racing somewhere else? I don't think they will because they want the money, they want the glamour. It's a super high entertainment value race. Lots of people with a lot of money come to these races and they want to spend all their money at these races and they want the money. F1 wants the money. Obviously, you're in it. F1's a business as well. So I think that's really the point, the fine line of what is the difference. Like where is the line in terms of when they will end up not racing at a circuit like this that is so dangerous. I mean, like if cars continue to crash, like I bet you in Q3, not going to say who, but I feel like I just have a feeling we might have a Q3 crash. We might have another Q3 crash where it's going to bring out the red flag, potentially. I hope not. I'm trying to get this. Like, I'm hoping we can just get to Q3 and just, we can just get on with our day and get on to qualifying to figure out who's on pole for the race tomorrow. But yes, indeed. Cash is king. It is. That's really, as you say, Daddy boy. Cash is king. Money matters to Formula One. They, and they've said it. They've said it in drivers will say it in press conferences. They've said it before. Sebastian Vettel, Lewis Hamilton have said it. Cash is king. It looks like the truck's gonna turn around. So in that aspect, it's like, they only want they're there for the money. They're racing for the money. They need the money. It's a great possibility where they can make a lot of money, and that's what they want to do. So as you can see, looking on in the Red Bull garage, Max Verstappen, along with Helmut Marko and others, remove before run. There's a little red sticker on his car. So, but yeah, cash is king. It's massive. It's a big moneymaker in Formula One. So racing didn't spot. So 1 minute ago, Daniel doesn't summon to the stewards for like, yeah. So that role has been massively ruined. So I don't know how long that's going to take to replace, if they're going to replace it or not. If they're just going to leave it the way it is, it doesn't seem to be too damaged. Again, they did replace the walls this year. Because of course the fact that the amount of crashes that happened last year. So they replaced the barriers with a similar metal type wall to the one in Monaco, which is where the drivers can kind of just brush against the wall, brush up against the wall and push the car a little bit further and a little bit faster. But as it stands right now, again, no update as we know. So we're still waiting. Hopefully in the next 5 minutes, we'll be able to get going and then we can finish Q2. And then obviously Q3 will get underway in the next couple minutes, of course. So it's a super long session. As you can see, all the people in their fancy suites and the TVs and their drinks going on in the evening. So as it stands right now, obviously Leclerc, Perez, Verstappen, Sainz, Alonso, Bottas, Russell, Norris, Schumacher, and Gasly will make it into Q3 if for whatever reason Q2 does not resume. But I don't think that will be the case because obviously they need to figure out who's going to be on pole position. So and that's only fair because obviously like Jean Guanyu, Ricardo, Magnussen, Stroll, and Ocon are trying to all get into Q3, and they all have an opportunity and should have an opportunity to do so. I think as well, I think we all do with Schumacher, 2 score points as well. That would be lovely to see. The question is, will that car be fixed for tomorrow's race? I think it will be, but at what difference will it be? Because I think we saw, obviously, like going back to Monaco, Charles Leclerc had that crash in qualifying. Not as big of a crash, But most likely, again, even the next day, it was the gearbox. They repaired as much as they could, but they couldn't get the car to run properly. And I have a feeling it will be similar to Schumacher, where most likely he will not race tomorrow, unless a miracle is performed tonight by the Haas mechanics, which again may be the case. Who knows? Might see it, might not. But as it stands right now, we'll have to see what happens. Now, again, Russell is on the mediums as it stands in P7, so that will be super interesting to see what happens. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens. Regardless, I think most likely they will switch to a soft tire, a soft compound, because he was running really well in the soft compound as well. Even in the medium compound, I think he was running pretty well to get into Q2. So that was good to see. He was running super fast as well there. And now, so the safety car is out on track. The Mercedes-Benz safety car, FIA safety car, red flags are still being flashed across the screen. It looks like he's just going to do a test lap to see how it is, how the track is. And then from there, hopefully they can resume Q2. We can finish up Q2, and then we can get on to Q3 as well. So that will be the question of when will qualifying finish? That is the age-old question. So right now, because, okay, it's currently 2:10 p.m., at least our time. I don't know if you're watching anywhere else, it's a different time, but 2:10 p.m. right now. The question is, when will qualifying be done? If it'll be done at 2:30? I think 2:30 will be said and done when qualifying will be finished. So, I mean, most likely if there was no red flags, qualifying would be over. We'd be doing the post-race right now and be talking about it. So, I see. They're just getting out to inspect it. Yeah, so this is the race director, I believe, one of the race directors for the race weekend, just out here to inspect it, just see how the track is. Yeah, just wants to make sure if it's runnable. They've obviously talking to the marshals just to see how the track is. I love how they're rubbing the shoes on it. Like, that's going to be like the big difference. Oh, yeah, I can rub my shoes on it. I can just, I've got some grip in my shoes. I mean, if they've got grip in their shoes, I'm sure an F1 car can find grip. But yeah, that's the question. But of course, the yellow and white flag now being waved, of course. And now for... So the 22 has been designed to withstand 15% more energy in a crash. Lessons were learned from the 20. Yeah, of course, that's important to see as well. Hopefully, Mick Schumacher is okay. Again, still no update from him about any update about how he is feeling. We'll have to wait and see just to see what's going on. That is the age-old question if Mick Schumacher will be okay. I think he will be. I think he'll be recover nicely, and hopefully he's able to race in the race tomorrow at 1 p.m. 24 hours now, roughly 23 hours and counting roughly from now. So as it stands. Oh, red flag is out still. So, and yep, now the WLs are being waved, and they're just still looking at the track just to see if they're able to race on it or not, whether the case it may be. Yeah, still lots of discussion. Oh, no, they're pointing fingers. They're figuring out what's going to do. He's trying to talk with them just to see. I think he's asking for a broom of some sort just to see if they can do a bit more sweeping here. So, Sergio Perez right now in second place as it stands. Yeah, I mean, interesting enough, I think that Sergio Perez has done a great job last season and continues to do a good job so far this season. I mean, like, I know it's only one race in, but, he's in great qualifying form. He's provided a great support for Max Verstappen as a teammate as well. He did a great job last year defending him multiple times, which helped him ultimately win the title in my mind and everybody else's eyes. So it's good that he's back for another season as well. As we look inside the AlphaTauri garage of Pierre Gasly. Career best grid is second on the grid. Is his career best grid overall in his career. So, yeah, as it stands, no one still is unaware of when. Now, interesting enough, it was almost an hour ago when Q3 was going to resume because it was, I think, 1:14, I believe it was 1:14. So now it's only been just over an hour where we finished up Q3. Now, again, that was a bit of a longer session when the red flags were out because there was about 11 minutes left. This is 5 minutes left in Q2. So the question is now whether we will get to Q3 at a certain point and when that will be, because it'd be nice to get it going soon. As it stands, Valtteri Bottas with 20 career pole positions, looking very strong. And as you can see now, on the phone with somebody, clearly talking to somebody to figure it out, and more powder and water there, trying to really make sure that it's all cleared up. Obviously, because they don't want any potential oil or gas leakage there that's on the track, and that's why they're pouring that type of white powder onto the track. As we see a shot of Carlos Sainz just chilling in his Ferrari, chilling in his car. Yeah, I think honestly, Carlos Sainz has done a great job last season and as well as this season with the car, obviously. Clearly wasn't happy last week. And even though he got P2, he was well off the pace of his teammate. But I think overall in this season, I think we're going to see a very competitive Carlos Sainz, similar to how we saw last year. And I think he's going to give his teammate Charles Leclerc a real run for his money in terms of fighting for that top spot, really, realistically. So Verstappen 1 second clear of the gap to knockout. Very clear, running currently very nice in P3 as it stands in the knockout. So he should be running fine, as well as the other Red Bull and Sergio Perez. Yeah, currently still on the phone, chit-chatting away, trying to figure out what next to do and what the plan of action is. So, as we still wait for Q2 to be resumed. This is taking a super long amount of time. Like, I feel like by now they would have some, like being the fact that they raced there last year and they've had some experience with this, is like, I feel like they should like know how to expedite the process quick enough where they can run it super fast and it's not going to take forever for them to, clear the track. So again, everything takes time and make sure everyone's safe, make sure the track is runnable, it's safe. So yeah, we'll have to see as we continue to wait for Q2 to resume with 4:58 left remaining. And of course, as we were running Q2, Mick Schumacher was on a bit of a screamer of a lap, and unfortunately didn't finish the lap. But as it stands right now, yeah. Kevin Magnussen currently P13, looking to improve and get into Q3, which I'm sure he will. Yeah, they're still discussing. I think they're pretty much just trying to figure out the gripability and what line is the best, and if it's safe for the cars to rip right down that line, and where they might lose it as well potentially. Again, they just want to make sure they don't want to have to red flag this if someone crashes in the same spot. So they're double checking, triple checking, making sure. And it looks like he's raiding over to someone to figure out what the plan of action is for when we will resume action here in Saudi Arabia for around the Jeddah Corniche circuit. That is realistically the question of the hour. And obviously, interesting enough, this year as well, we have the new helmet cams. So that's super exciting as well. That's going to be super interesting to see what happens with the helmet cams and how that's going to work and how that's working, because they look super clean and super, super nice. Like high def, great view of the drivers cockpit driver's view as we can see it as we stand here.
I don't have time to type it out. My day's okay. It was fine. And then I had to go to Dufferin Mall to go to Walmart to get my headshot printed. Like I had to develop it for my audition tomorrow. So I went. First off, it was busy, which I wasn't very happy about because I'm like, I don't have time for this. Anyway, so I went and I got it. I printed 3 headshots and I ended up printing them wrong, like landscape. So I had to reprint it. So it was portrait and I was like not happy about it. And then I had to rush back here. I literally ate in like 2 minutes because I need to leave because I'm gonna go rehearse now for tomorrow.
So as we can see now, the truck is now making its way back on, and still waiting on resume. Again, still no timetable of when they will resume qualifying here. So again, still waiting. Yes, indeed. Still waiting on if when the session will resume. As there's Zach Brown rocking the distinguished gray beard. He's got the gray hairs all around. Clearly hasn't shaved in a while. Still waiting as it stands. Oh my god, this is taking forever. When you hear forever and ever. Jos Capito, CEO and team principal for Williams, obviously took over for Claire Williams last season. I see they're just pouring some water on the track. They're pouring something on the track to clearly increase the grip here for the drivers. So it seems like this is going to be a long delay, super long delay here. Okay, yeah. So it seems like they're prepping to do something with the track here. Just making sure everything is good. Is that machine running on its own? Or is it just going? It's going back and forth. So it clearly seems like. Oh, there's someone else in the car. Oh, I see. They're doing something. They're spraying. Yeah, so I think they're just clearing all the white powder there on the ground and hopefully getting the track ready to back to normal. So that is that a wheel there that I'm seeing? Like I'm just trying to figure out exactly what he's doing. It's really hard to tell. Still waiting on it. So obviously Q2 still delayed, but hopefully we get to resume it soon and that we can get into Q3 right away. I have a feeling they might just push right to Q3 within a short amount of time. They usually do. It's usually not a long time between Q2 and Q3 because everything's roughly within an hour, plus of delays and stuff. So right now, as it stands, it's currently an hour and 22 minutes as we started. So that's really the question of the hour. When we will resume. There's Oscar Piastri in the Alpine garage, along with Fernando Alonso, rocking that beautiful pink and blue suit, might I say. Absolutely gorgeous. I kind of like, as much as I didn't like the pink the Alpine, I'm kind of getting used to it. I'm kind of getting accustomed to it, and it's going to be weird now to see them go back to the blue, like the main blue car, which we were so accustomed to seeing last year. But again, last year's livery was, top of the line, beautiful. So I think hopefully we'll see the blue livery again. We'll get to see the Blue Beauty, as we'll call her. As we see a shot of Lando Norris just getting ready, adjusting things. Looks like he's adjusting his seat, and now he's just figuring out what works, what doesn't work as he's getting out of the car now. So it looks like it's going to be more of a slight delay, continued delay, before Q2 even takes off or before it finishes in the last 5 minutes. So we'll have to see what happens there. I think it's going to be interesting to see what happens this weekend with McLaren and see how they do and see whether if they can really push for the top 10 and push for points finishes, because last week, obviously, they struggled massively. And we'll just have to wait and see. And I have a feeling that because they're a Merc-powered card and they've been struggling a little bit, I think that they're going to be on the tail end of Q3. They might just squeak in, a 10th and 11th, or sorry, 9th and 10th maybe. And then once we get to Q3, we'll have to see who is going to make pole position or not. That's the question, really. Who will inevitably make the top spot on the grid? Will it be Charles Leclerc? Will it be Max Verstappen or Carlos Sainz or someone else? Potentially. Who knows? We'll have to wait and see. As again, we still are delayed and waiting. This has been a super long delay. Which, I mean, like, we're used to these delays as well, but usually, like, the other, again, because of the severity of the crash, this is much more massive, with obviously all the pieces going flying from Mick Schumacher's car and all the debris, and then obviously having to clean up the track and make sure it's all right, as Otmar Znafnauer and talking with his engineer, along with Fernando Alonso, chatting back and forth, figuring out talking about something clearly. And there's Mr. George Russell, Mr. Saturday, full in his race suit with his helmet still on. So he is ready to go racing, ready to resume and fight. And now we're seeing scenes of Mick Schumacher, and it seems he is being airlifted into he is being airlifted, as we can see, as you're probably watching on your screen as well. He's most likely being airlifted into a helicopter to go to a local hospital. So hopes and prayers up for Mick Schumacher. Hopefully he is okay, as he's been loaded in right now from the van. So that's a very scary sight to see, and hopefully he will be okay. Prayers up for the young German driver, obviously. Mick Schumacher. Hopefully he's okay. And now we're going to show a replay of it, of course, because why not? I mean, see, this is sometimes why I don't like this, because they always show these massive crashes, and it's very hard to watch. It's very hard to watch for not only if you're a fan of the team, if you're a family member, if you're a close friend, it's hard to watch. And again, I thought F1 learned their lesson after seeing Max Verstappen crash, but again, there's other places. As you can see. Yeah, see, this is what I don't like. I don't like when they show all these replays, and Mick Schumacher just got being shown into, like, I mean, like, we wanted to see an update of Mick Schumacher. You could just tell us an update. You don't have to let us know. You don't have to see the shot of him going into a helicopter. I just don't agree with that. I mean, like, as much as you want to know what the update is, it can be a verbal update from David Crofty or from one of the announcers and say, listen, this is the update on Mick Schumacher. We don't need to show him getting into the helicopter, because that can be a very tough scene for his girlfriend, for his wife, his mother, his family member, his friends, even fans of, like, the driver. It can be very emotionally tough. Now, again, they're seeing Mick Schumacher now. He looks to be okay, in good health. He's on a stretcher, and it looks like he's going to be now, again. That was moments ago, and then he was eventually loaded into a van and then being airlifted into a helicopter. So, again, all the faces in the Haas garage worried, sick, respectively, for their driver. And I mean, you guys can let us know how you feel, but I just don't like the whole constant replay thing of showing, the driver. And again, they've only showed one replay since then, obviously, since him getting into it. But again, a massive, massive shunt from Mick Schumacher, and hopefully he is okay. Hopefully he gets better and he's able to recover nicely, that he's able to resume racing, and hopefully he doesn't miss one too many races. Hopefully it's just this race weekend that he'll miss for now. So still a red flag, still waiting, still no update. This has been a super long delay. There's Max Verstappen chatting with, I believe that's, no, I don't think that's Helmut Marko. No, that's someone else. I think it's GSP, his engineer, sorry. Chatting away. Chatting back and forth. As you can see, obviously, the multiple amount of screens. And there's all the big Ferris wheel. So, an hour and 25 we've been running this stream for. This has been super long. Usually it's just over an hour, but again, because of the delays, Okay, from the Haas F1 team, Mick is physically in a good condition, but will be flown by helicopter to hospital for further precautionary checkups. So that's good to hear. Again, as they just posted on Instagram as well. Yeah, prayers up for Mick Schumacher. Hopefully he is okay, and hopefully he does recover. He's able to have a speedy recovery. So, and there's some Verstappen fans with a sign pointing out, as well as some Aston Martin fans as well on the track. Hopefully, again, he is okay. As again, Matita Bonato talking with, sorry, I lost my, Christian Horner. Sorry, Christian Horner, chatting with Christian Horner. Still waiting on the world to change. There's Lance Stroll chatting his way. Lance Stroll's got to get a new haircut. Like, come on. Like, seriously, you're rocking with that haircut? I mean, like, I need to get a haircut as well. My hair's no better, but like, come on. That's just I know it's got to be short hair, but it's just not a good hairstyle for him. Like, he's got to go for like the buzz cut look or something like that. I think that would be better. Something much shorter, for sure. Again, as we see an aerial shot of the Jeddah Corniche circuit in Saudi Arabia, beautifully lit up around with the lights all around the track on the outside by the bodies of water, and the lights being shined in the water in the swell. Saudi Arabia flashing up and lighting up back and forth. Still waiting on an update. Yeah, again, because of the massive delays, no set resume time has been made. Not even like 5 minutes from now, 10 minutes from now, nothing has been made yet. Again, most likely they'll probably resume, let's say, I have a feeling maybe at 2:45 in 14 minutes, maybe. That's like the earliest I can see it being the case, but realistically, we'll just have to wait and see. So wait and see. Hopefully resumes quickly. I mean, need to go eat lunch and have afternoon lunch. I'm starving. I've not eaten anything pretty much all morning. Or since this morning, sorry. As you can see, the car performance rankings right now, powered by AWS. Somehow Russell, in the high-speed corners, Russell is third, Carlos Sainz fastest, Leclerc second, and Perez and Verstappen fourth and fifth in the high-speed corners for the car performance rankings based on AWS. Again, not entirely accurate because that stands. George Russell currently P7, and a bunch of other cars are ahead of it. So who knows? Including both Red Bulls. But again, that's only in the high-speed corners compared to other corners, which are, I mean, like, I think there's mostly only high-speed corners in the circuit. I don't think there's much slow-turning corners, as Toto Wolff now is greeted along with the other engineers and George Russell as well. Chatting away. I don't know if he wants, he's trying to really shush the camera away or trying to bring him in closer. I don't know what he was doing. He was trying to do some weird motion. He was doing some hand motion like this. He was trying to get them away or up closer, but there's Zach Brown talking with Daniel Ricciardo, having a bit of a laugh, smiling away. Chipper, as always. When will this session end? That's the question. Because we've still got another 10 minutes after this minimum for Q3. So, and I don't think they'll shorten it anyway. Zhao Guanyu. in 11th place right now, sitting comfortably. A big fan of F1, doing some dance moves with the Spider-Man painted face, Spider-Man hat, Transformers hat. Obviously, all the executives and F1, or sorry, not executives, but all the people in the F1 Paddock Club enjoying life away. I think it's super interesting just to see all the different, I guess, fans here and the amount of popularity that it has. Obviously, racing in this country makes sense. Obviously, big ticket event like Formula One, high speed racing. A lot of people want to come out and watch it. So, respectively, they're paying big money, paying lots of money to see this race here happen. And right now, there's no racing. There's currently no anything right now because the tracks are still. Session will resume at 21:40. I was 5 minutes off. 21:40, 6 minutes. We have a resume time. So as it stands right now, if they resume at 21:40, 5 minutes left, so it's 21:45. I think realistically, we could be wrapped up by 3 o'clock. 3 o'clock on a good note. 3 o'clock if there's no other crashes or no other delays. Knock on wood. 3 o'clock will be done. And that will be when the session will resume. Knock on wood. That is always want to do that. So as we get a shot inside the Ferrari garage with Mattia Binotto walking around, getting perspective of what's happening. Hamilton is out. Yes, indeed. Out of Q1. That was a while ago. Much more. Track surface slippery in track sector 7. So I guess they'll just be as a little note to all the drivers that watch out, don't push it too far. Alrighty, gap to Clerk 7/10 right now in the gap from George Russell to Charles Leclerc as it stands. Still waiting. Only a couple more minutes left and 3 more minutes until we resume before Q2 is resumed. So yes, so Mick Schumacher has been assessed at the medical center. The assessment revealed no injuries, and he's been transferred to King Fahd Armed Forces Hospital, Jeddah for precautionary check. So again, like I updated it a little while ago. As it stands right now, still waiting on world to change. Only a couple more minutes until the session begins. Q2 is just beginning very soon, obviously, at 21:40 local time. So in 2 minutes from now. I think, yeah, if we're able to start at 21:40, 5 minutes left, I think 3 o'clock is when qualifying will wrap up roughly on a rough time level. Maybe 3:05 at the max amount of time if it takes an extra couple minutes between Q2 and Q3. But I think because of the timing, drivers probably want to get out of here. They want to go relax, get some sleep before tomorrow's big race. So, and we have the first car on track, of course. It's a Haas in Kevin Magnussen, as well as the Ferrari in Charles Leclerc, is now out on track as well, or just making his way towards the end of the pit lane, as now we are very close, very, very close to the Q2 being resumed for another 5 minutes to go. 5 minutes left here in Q2. And then, of course, we'll have a couple minutes break, maybe like 2-minute break, and they'll right to Q3. So as it stands, obviously just waiting for the right signal, and then they're going to let Max Verstappen go out as well. Still in his garage with the tire blankets on, covering up. Still waiting for, obviously, once the screens are removed from the drivers, pulled back up. Still waiting on a green light. Should be going green now-ish, because it is right now 2:40, so 21:40 local time. So right now it's currently 9:40 there. So they are 7 hours ahead of us. Sorry. So yeah, when the race goes 8 p.m., they'll be, yeah. So the rate when it's 1 p.m. our time, it'll be 8 p.m. their time. Sorry, 7 hour difference. And cars are out on track for real this time. We are actually going back. Q2 is underway. The timer is going 5 minutes and counting, ladies and gentlemen. We've got cars back on track after a super long delay. That was probably at least 15 to 20 minutes, probably at least more than that. Oh, sorry, more than that. Probably like 30-minute delay easily with the amount of time from the first time, like, the red flags went out and all the first cars went in. As it stands, but Q2 is back underway and resumed with 4 minutes to go as most cars are making their way out on track. Verstappen on an outlap, Leclerc on an outlap, Sainz on an outlap, Bottas, Norris, Ricciardo, and Magnussen, and Ocon all on outlaps, trying to improve on their time, looking to get a little bit more speed to improve their time so that they can secure their spot in Q3, which I think should begin very shortly after this. Alrighty, as it stands right now, Leclerc, Perez, Verstappen, Sainz, Alonso, Bottas, Russell, Norris, Mick Schumacher. As it stands right now, again, that could change. Gasly are your top 10 and making it into Q3, but obviously, unless nobody can improve on that time in the 129.920, then technically Mick Schumacher could start 9th on the grid if, for whatever reason, he's able to race. Driver at risk right now is Gasly. So, as we just reached the 3-minute mark, so time is ticking quickly away. As we now fly, we now join Magnussen on board for his flying lap. He is whipping around the circuit. Come on. Great first sector so far, looking pretty strong as he whips around the circuit here. And he's going to finish with a 33 something, 33, a good solid sector there as it stands. Leclerc with a 128.883, still the fastest time lap yet. Verstappen only third fastest as it stands still, and Verstappen Perez now on an outlap. Sorry, Verstappen. I don't know where Verstappen is, if he's going to improve on his time or not, if he's going to get closer to that Ferrari. But as it stands right now, it's Lando Norris making his way around as we get a inside view of Lando Norris's helmet via the helmet cam. 2 minutes to go. 2 minutes to go. Wow, that was a quick 3.5 minutes. So 2 minutes to go just left in the session. So only roughly around, you've got maybe about 1 lap left if you're coming around the circuit now after this. Ooh, that was very close. That was very close. Lost a little bit of time there. Clearly green in the first 2 sectors, 0.4 off of Leclerc's time. Again, not expecting much from Norris here, just probably into the top 10 at least, maybe, to get into Q3. As he narrows, oh, getting close to the wall there. Russell yellow in the first sector on the soft tires versus Leclerc's time. Only 8th fastest. Yellow in the third sector for Lando Norris. So really not a great lap, and looks like he might be potentially just squeaking his way into Q3. So Russell right now, again, yellow in the first 2 sectors. Not a great lap from the young Brit. Stroll right now in green in the first sector. Looking really strong as he whips around Verstappen there, going slow. There's now Russell getting around, up to speed, looking to push the car even more, getting very close to the wall. Where is he going to finish? Where is he going to cross the line? And around he goes, 7th fastest. So yellow in the first 2 sectors, green in the third sector, but cannot improve on his time. And it looks like, again, that is on the medium tower compounds, which is what he said his lap time on. I believe that should be on the soft tires. He was on the soft tire there, but clearly couldn't improve on his time there, which is odd. But as it stands right now, he's on mediums. Yeah, he is on mediums actually, because it does show the mediums as his fastest lap time right now. As Q2 is near the end, where will Alonso finish? Magnussen and Bottas all fighting for position. Magnussen currently in P13, Bottas 6th, and Alonso 5th, trying to make it into Q3. Alonso goes 5th fastest across the checkered flag, across the line for the checkered flag. Magnussen goes 7th fastest into Q3 for a second time. Bottas goes 6th fastest into Q3 as well. You love to see it. 2 great drivers that deserve to be in the sport and are glad that are in there as well. They're still in the sport, especially Kevin Magnussen after making a hiatus. Sainz goes quickest with a 1:28.686, so a great time from Carlos Sainz Jr. Ocon, Gasly, and Ricciardo all crossing the line, going to be roughly similar times. Ocon goes 8th fastest, pushing Norris down and Russell down as well. Gasly goes 7th fastest. Russell's in 10th right now. He's close to the elimination zone. Will we see a Merc not make Q3? Like a Mercedes not make Q3? That's the question. Guan Yu Zhou only goes 13th fastest. So as it stands right now, George Russell just squeaks in to Q3. Both McLarens unable to make it into Q3. Clearly, again, the Mercedes-powered cars at the bottom of the order. So another tough day for McLaren with Norris and Ricciardo missing out on to Q3 once again. So again, now Q2 is over, and we're shortly over, I think, in the next 10 minutes probably. The next couple minutes we'll begin Q3, hopefully. Again, they've got to do all the setup changes, change the tires. Driver's probably going to go out, go to the bathroom or something and get ready and stuff like that. But as it stands, Sainz, Leclerc, Perez, Verstappen, Alonso, Bottas, Gasly, Magnussen, Ocon, Russell, and yeah, it's just Russell is your last person there in Q2. Yes, indeed. It's a tough one to swallow. Yeah, McLaren is really struggling this year. It's you hate to see it, really. You hate to see it. They are really struggling with that Mercedes power unit and with the overall design of the car compared to last year. So not only Daniel Ricciardo this time, but also Lando Norris struggling as well. Massively struggling. That is the question, realistically. As it stands right now, yeah, I know it's unfortunate. I hate to see McLaren like this. I mean, like they really had a great season last year, a great start to the season. Lando Norris, obviously, as well as Daniel Ricciardo. Daniel Ricciardo struggled a little bit, but again, near the end, picked it up. We're getting it together. But clearly, I think this is kind of evident of how the rest of the 2021 second half of the season went. Really, is because obviously McLaren was struggling, starting to struggle a little bit more and more. as Ferrari was starting to rise. And I think now it's kind of continued on to this next season where, Ferrari's looking really strong. They've clearly done a great job with the regulations with the Ferrari powered engine. And it's just unfortunate. Now, Q3 will start at 21:53 local time. So again, because of, the timing, so 4 minutes from now, so 21:53, and then 10 minutes from there. So that'll be at 3:03. We will finish. We will finish at 23:03, or sorry, 22:03 is when we will finish up qualified. And that's going to be the end of the session as well, into the stream as well as we finish up here. So 21:53 is local time, or 2:53, sorry. So just about 3 minutes from now. And then another 10 minutes, obviously, for Q3. Oh, Pierre Gasly, P7, but close enough, honestly. Really, I think the big thing is George Russell just narrowly making it into Q3. And the question is where he will qualify, in Q3 again, because again, those are on, I believe, the medium tire compounds. So... and as you can see right here, Max Verstappen versus George Russell. Of course, they're going to compare the Red Bull versus the Mercedes because you always want to do, like why do you control just the one thing? Honestly, compare actually the thing that's important is between Red Bull and Ferrari. The actually two teams that are going to be competitive this year in terms of like the cars that are actually competitive. That's ideally what you want to be focusing on. But again, because of the battle of the long-standing Mercedes history and how they're doing, they're still going to be, pushing for that narrative that they want Mercedes, to be up there with Red Bull, and they're not really. So, I'm wearing red, which is odd because, it works both ways. I'm a Red Bull fan, but I'm also kind of more supporting the Tifosi in the Red Bull, in the Ferrari, in the red. But as it stands right now, still a Red Bull fan at heart and still hoping that Verstappen gets pole position, but we'll have to wait and see as Q3 is about to begin in less than a minute. 2:53. Mm-hmm. And cars are on track for one final time as Q3 is about to begin. Who will take pole position? That is the $1 million question. Will it be Charles Leclerc, Carlos Sainz, Max Verstappen? Who knows? Sergio Perez looking really strong as well. Maybe we'll get a surprise pole position person. Maybe it might not be one of the Red Bulls or the Ferraris. I highly doubt that. That would be very unlikely. But, for whatever reason, who knows? As we see, Q3 is underway. 11 minutes and counting. And here we are. So Q3 is underway. 11 minutes to go here. Previous pole, obviously, Lewis Hamilton, not happening this time with a 1:27.511. So a very quick pole time. We haven't seen yet to that time standards, but maybe we might see here in Q3 because again, of course, they turn the engines down a little bit in Q2 and sorry in Q1 and Q2, and then in Q3 they do turn up the engines a little bit more to their full capacity, and they're running at full steam as Kevin Magnussen makes his way out on track. So Charles Leclerc is also on track as well, making his way around the Jeddah Corniche circuit. Come on, 10 minutes to go here. Question is, who will be on pole and what will the qualifying order be? The question I'm interested about to see is where the Mercedes will finish. Where can George Russell stick that slow Mercedes? And right now, because he's P10 as it stands, but I think he can push for a little bit better. I think P5, maybe P4 if he's really lucky on a good day. But I think really most likely it was P5 and P9 is where they qualified in Bahrain. As Max Verstappen crosses the line, most likely for his first timed lap as we see around the circuit. It'll be super interesting to see what happens here. And as Charles Leclerc gets his first time lap around the corner, we get to see where he will finish in the first sector. Where are we going to see? Purple in the first sector with a 32.332 for Charles Leclerc. So that's going to be the time to beat realistically as we stand. It seems like right now green in the second sector. So it seems like someone else has gone purple in the first sector, and he's not the fastest one. As Sainz has gone purple in the first sector right now. And so far is currently leading currently leading over his teammate Charles Leclerc. So I think Carlos Sainz looking very, very strong here. The Ferraris have looked very fast. I mean, super fast. I mean, it makes sense. It's a Ferrari. Now, Sainz, Leclerc goes purple in the second sector. The question is, will Sainz beat his time? Green in the second sector for Sainz. So very close lap times between these two teammates, I think, between obviously the fact that green in the first sector, and then obviously now Sainz purple in the first sector, and then Leclerc had Sainz in the Leclerc crosses the line. He goes with a 128.446 with purple in the third sector. Obviously, we'll see where Sainz crosses the line, whipping across the line. He's going to finish first fastest with a 128.402. He is on pole position as it stands, provisional pole. Ocon goes third fast with a 129.068. Very, very quick time. Magnussen P5. Here comes Perez. Green in the first sector for Perez, so clearly not faster than the Red Bull. Very close to the wall there. Well, I don't want to say anything because last year I jinxed something and I don't want to say too much, especially when Verstappen's on his flying lap, because the last thing I want to do is I don't want to say anything. So it's 5 minutes of Ferrari. 56 thousandths of a second. The difference between Perez right now and Sainz's time. A very close battle between Red Bull and Ferrari for provisional pole as we near the end of Q3 with 7 minutes plus counting to go. Verstappen now just starting his time lap as the DRS wing closes as green in the first two sectors. It most likely, only 4/10. 4/10 off of Sainz's time in the first sector. So not a great lap here for Red Bull with the 120 for Verstappen. Perez goes third fast with the 128. But again, Verstappen is now starting to pick up the pace a bit here through the second sector. Green in the first sector, he was 4/10 off, 4/10, almost half a second off of Sainz's time. Bottas goes seventh fastest with a 129.543. Green in the second sector, 443 difference between 0.443 difference between Sainz and Verstappen as it stands right now. Where is he going to cross the line? Come on, Verstappen, push that car to the limit. Again, there's going to be, still, it's not the end of Q3 here. Leclerc goes second foul. Again, he's had a bit of a nightmare there. Got too close to the wall. Verstappen is going to cross the line. Sixth fastest. Not a great lap time for Verstappen. Obviously, he can improve. I know he's much faster than that. He clearly didn't want to push the car too far or something happened there where he lost amount of time. So I don't think that's true test of the time, considering Perez is up in P3. But as it stands right now, Verstappen set to start P6. Most likely he will set another flying lap potentially soon enough, hopefully. Verstappen going on the radio now. Just over. You can see that's where he lost it there. Sergio Perez did as well. Alrighty, now George Russell going on for his timed lap. The question is where he will finish as well. So green in the first sector, but quicker time, closer than Verstappen's time with 0.2 difference there. So as it stands right now, George Russell going through 5 minutes to go. 5 minutes to go left here in Q3. Where will George Russell finish? Verstappen right now with a 1:29.239, a very slow lap from the reigning world champion. Ooh, pushing the car to the limit. Again, I think he's going to finish higher than Russell. Russell will finish higher than Verstappen most likely. I think P5 is where he's going to go. Verstappen again out for his out lap, looking to set a better lap time. Bottas also on a flying lap as well here. The question is when he will cross the line. And he's going to cross the line. Fifth fastest, like I called it. I said fifth fastest. I knew it was going to be green in the first 3 sectors. And so fifth fastest for Russell. Alonso goes sixth fastest. Alonso goes sixth fastest. Verstappen right now on an out lap. Bottas right now as well. He's on an out lap, or so he's on a time lap right now. Currently making his way through the second sector. Got some blue flags, some slow moving cars. It was mostly Verstappen and Gasly on their out laps, but here he comes across the line. Where will Bottas start the Grand Prix tomorrow? Sixth fastest for Valtteri Bottas with a 1:29.199, so a great lap from the Flying Finn. Indeed, a great lap for Alfa Romeo as well, looking really, really strong. So, yeah, I think he's just kind of slowing down here to let the other cars go by, because now Verstappen, Gasly, and Magnussen. Verstappen and Magnussen both on out laps. And it seems like now Sergio Perez is going out to the pits here. Look for his look for another quicker lap time here. It'd be interesting to see what happens. And as it stands, 2 minutes and counting, roughly 2.5 minutes, over just 2.5 minutes. So Charles Leclerc right now fighting to get pole position back from his teammate Carlos Sainz, who set a fast lap with a 1:28.402. Leclerc 44 thousandths of a second off of that. Perez, Ocon, both on out laps. Verstappen only 8th fastest. Is that really the best he can do? That's the question. 8th fastest for Verstappen. He's got to improve on that. Come on. Oh, Verstappen, you're killing me. You're killing me. This is not good. There must be something wrong with the car. There's got to be something wrong with the car, because there's no way Max Verstappen is struggling that much. I mean, maybe we saw Lewis Hamilton struggle. So maybe it just seems that these two experienced drivers are struggling right now. Again, we're not really seeing alongside what's happening with Verstappen, where he has 2 minutes to go. So yeah, as it stands right now, I think Verstappen is on a time lapse. Verstappen is on a time lapse. So it looks like he will probably be slowly improving on that as well. We get to how Verstappen's doing. Maybe let's ride alongside with Verstappen. So Leclerc and Sainz both on time lapse right now. As you can see, the ticker's going up, trying to improve on their time. The question is, with the Woodman have to go, where we will go, who will be on provisional pole for tomorrow's race? That is the $1 million question as we are waiting on alongside. So purple in the first sector. He's almost yellow in the first sector for Sainz. So Leclerc right now, purple in the first sector. Slower than his original best time. So right now, Leclerc is running faster than his teammate. Looks like he's going to take provisional pole here for tomorrow's race. Would be back-to-back poles. Again, I don't want to jinx anything because, I want to respect both drivers. Again, we'll have to see what happens here. But Leclerc is on an absolute screaming lap, might I say. Purple in the second sector. 2/10 up. He is absolute flying around the Jeddah circuit. Yellow in the second sector for Sainz. Really not improving on his time here. And it looks like most likely it's going to be Charles Leclerc on pole position. Knock on wood unless something devastating happens here. Oh, so close to the wall there. As we saw, Max Verstappen crashed across the line. He is going to cross the line. Where is he going to cross the line? Of course, P1 with a 128.225. So not a big difference. Here comes Carlos Sainz across the line. He goes 128. So cannot improve on his time of the 128.651. Now here comes Max Verstappen flying around the last few corners here. Sorry, man, this is Sergio Perez with green in the first sector, purple in the second sector, up on Leclerc's time. Can Sergio Perez spoil the Ferrari 1-2 as time expires? Where will Sergio Perez finish? Across the line he goes. He goes fastest. Pole position for Sergio Perez with a 128.2 flat. An absolute screaming lap from Sergio Perez. Max Verstappen crossing in line. Where will he finish? He goes fourth fast with a 128.461. So it's Red Bull, Ferrari, Red Bull finish. But Sergio Perez, P1, baby. You love to see it with a 128.200. Pole, yes, Perez did get pole position there. You are seeing it right. You are not dreaming. Perez fans and Red Bull fans. Sergio Perez, absolute beautiful lap, an absolute amazing lap. The last two sectors, he was flying, and you love to see it. Excellent flying lap there, and that is it. Sergio Perez goes fastest, and he is on pole position, ladies and gentlemen. Wow, you love to see it. The Mexican fans there cheering on, the Red Bull fans, the whatever fan you are. Sergio Perez is on pole position. And wow, what a session. 2 hours later, and we have a new pole sitter for 2022, Sergio Perez, getting another pole position in his career. Verstappen could not improve his time, but look at the difference, 25 thousandths of a second, the difference between Leclerc and Perez, and that is going to be the difference in pole position as we see a difference here, a replay of Pierre Gasly. I don't care. I want to see more about Sergio Perez. All I want to see is Sergio Perez get on pole position. An absolute screamer of a lap. And they're just showing replays here, but wow, he was flying. Similar to last year, looking at Max Verstappen's amazing pole lap, that could go down as one of the greatest pole laps, I think, in history of Formula One, potentially, as he was absolute flying in the last two sectors. You love to see it. It's a great sight to see as well. And that is pretty much going to do it for our stream today. Thank you guys very much for watching, all tuned in for the 2 hours and 4 minutes that I've been streaming. It's been a super long time since we began, around roughly just after, a couple minutes after 1 o'clock. I was a little bit delayed as well. But as it stands right now, thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out theintermissionsports.com for more content. Again, we'll be live tomorrow afternoon for, again, the post-race show. Sergio Perez on pole position for tomorrow's race. Stay tuned. Thank you all, and have a good night.